What's up, everybody? It's Rick, and welcome back to Only Football. Today, we are giving you the rest of our Week 7 predictions. We're going to talk about our Week 7 favorite matchup. We're going to go into conspiracies with Kyle, and we always finish it off with a little chives with Kyle. Let's get it.
Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Only Football with Kyle and Rick, where we're going to give you our predictions. Are we keeping track of this year? Our win-loss record? We got to start this week.
I wanted to, and I haven't been doing it. Mostly because obviously I was gone for a while. Clearly you got your two Navy veterans here, protecting your country and whatnot. But I was gone for a while. I didn't really get back until around week 3, week 4. So that's why I wasn't keeping records.
It's on me. I should have been sending them out. I'm wondering who's winning because I know.
Yeah.
You had a pretty good week 2 weeks ago. Last week went down as a pretty good week for me. Now I'm gonna talk about it for a second. I did pick the Browns to beat the 49ers. And I did pick the Eagles to take an L. That's not easy to do. And it takes a lot of guts, but sometimes, you get gutsy about the wrong type of games. We'll see how many we can get right this week. And just so you guys all know, also, this is never pre-recorded. I don't know what his picks are, and I definitely don't change mine based on his. And I know he's only done that one time in the history of this show.
Change my pick?
You were like, you know what? Fuck you. You talked me into it or something like that.
Did I? I don't remember that, but I guess.
I remember because I was so proud. I was like, wow, was I really convincing?
Yeah. No, now I do remember. I do remember now, yeah.
So, yeah, I'm really excited to see. Because there's a ton of good football this week. Ton of good football. And we just got done watching Thursday night. If you guys haven't checked out our instant reaction, you can do that on our page. But we are going to talk about the first game. Rick?
Let's get into the Week 7 predictions.
I love that, dude. That was awesome.
I've forgotten to get to it, but yeah, let's go.
The first game to me, and I'm going to say it flat out, this is the game of the week. This is absolutely the game of the week, and I don't know if I've ever said that the very first game on our entire prediction is the game of the week. It's the game of the week. The Detroit Lions playing the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens have 2 losses. Detroit has 1. Detroit has continued to climb the polls, including my top five, making a number 2 appearance. I think that there's a lot to love about what Dan Campbell's doing. So why the hell are they underdogs?
That's a good question, and I think it really just has to do with the Ravens at home, right? The Ravens are 4-2 right now in the AFC North, lead the AFC North. And I think that's really the underdogs because, we just saw this Jags-Saints game, and if any of you guys did not catch our post-game instant reactions, go check it out on our page at Star6 Media on YouTube. But the Lions are the underdogs because they're in Baltimore. Now, let me give you a couple facts here. Do you know when the last time the Lions were tied or had the best record in the NFL? Do you know what year that was?
1993.
1993, Kyle is correct. That is the last time the Lions were ever in a position that they are in today going into this Week 7 game. Now, Goff, huge addition to this team, to the Lions, and huge reason why they are 5-1. In the last 17 games, which is basically an entire regular season, 68% completion percentage, 4,400 yards, 29 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Like, that is a good year for any quarterback. Something I wish I had as a Bears fan. Now, the Ravens, though, the Ravens defense only giving up 163 yards passing per game. But when you look at the quarterbacks that they've played, I think the best one they have played was Joe Burrow, and that was with one leg. You know what I mean? Like, you're going against the backup in Cleveland. You're going up against Gardner Minshew. Like, they haven't had great offenses to go against. That's also including Kenny Pickett, who's having the roughest year in that Matt Canada offense. So also the Ravens offense has been bad, especially in the red zone the last 2 weeks after they were going 80% in the red zone. So maybe that also has to do why the Lions come into this game underdogs. But I don't know, man. For me, I'm taking the Lions. I'm taking them to go 6-1 in week 7 against the Ravens defense, who, yes, they're doing really well against the pass, but they're going up against Jared Goff, who is turned into this, like, not turned into, he has been a very stellar quarterback, but like a resurgence in this Detroit offense. I'm taking the Lions to beat them. I'm going to make this a close game. I'll go by 4. I think they beat them by a touchdown late in the game. They're down 23-20. They get a score 27-24, 27-23.
Yeah, I'm taking the Lions too, and I just haven't seen enough from Baltimore to confidently say that they're going to win. And I know that Baltimore could win this game, and nobody would necessarily be totally shocked. It's not like they would be losing to the Panthers or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're just picking the better team, you got to go with the Detroit Lions. They are complete, and they're the better team. What do the Ravens do well offensively?
That's a very good question. And I think the only offense they got is their quarterback who was paid. And that's it. And like, he doesn't necessarily put up great stats passing, but he does enough running to make up for the passing, which he has done in previous years. And I think that's kind of their offense, dude. And real quick, let me get to this CP comment. He said, I got the Lions, CP. Thanks for coming on. Cheers to you.
What up, CP?
He's got the Lions as well. But I really think the only thing the Ravens can do offensively is have Lamar Jackson with the ball in his hand. That's it.
Yeah, and Detroit right now, running the football, they are running the ball 46% of the time, passing it 53% of the time. So they're extremely balanced. The Ravens defensively, when it comes to stopping the run, are ranked 10th. But guess what? Detroit's ranked first in stopping the run.
Let's go.
It's okay that they're 10th, because it's like, we can do that too. I just don't know what you could look at and feel confident, even if you wanted to pick Baltimore. I mean, red zone scoring, 57%. The Lions are playing very good football. Their only loss coming against Seattle on week 2, and it was 31-37. It wasn't even, and that was exactly how we thought that game would go.
Yeah.
But since then, winning their last 3 football games by 14 points or more, this is 49ers territory of good. The teams that can consistently beat their opponents by multiple possessions, there's only one team like that in the NFL. Last year, there was Philly and the San Francisco 49ers. And this year, we're gonna have to get used to it. It's been a while since we've said this, but Detroit is that team.
Yeah,
Detroit is that team.
I love that this is your game of the week. I love it. I fucking love it.
Yeah, so I expect it to be a really, really fun game. I think really what Detroit could do is, if they win this game by 14 points, you're not going to see the disrespect anymore. I mean, this team is an underdog. I mean, you love it from a betting standpoint, but it's also just like, what has Baltimore shown you? Why is the money coming in on Baltimore? Because it's a must game, and because John Harbaugh is a really tough coach. A home underdog, that's where you want Baltimore. Lamar Jackson plays way better when he's favored to lose. versus when he's a favorite. I don't know what it is.
Oh, yeah.
So the fact that Detroit's the underdog in this game, it all just steers towards the Lions for me, all of it.
Love it. Love it.
So yeah, that was our first game. Do you have anything else on the Detroit game?
Nope, I got Lions, man. I got Lions. I love the Lions this year. Even though they're NFC North rivals, we kind of talked about it earlier. Like, of course, I love the Lions. They've never beaten my team before, other than the last year or two, right? So that's kind of why I love the Lions. They're just a great story from the last couple years with Dan Campbell.
All right, and speaking of your team, let's get right into it. This is your team versus the team I hate. This is the Chicago Bears against the Las Vegas Raiders. Justin Fields, last I heard, he was doubtful. Is there any news on that front?
So Justin Fields has been ruled out of the game. It is our backup Tyson Bagent. I think it was Bagent. I don't know. I can't remember. And for the Raiders, Jimmy G is also out for this game, so it might be either Aiden O'Connell or Brian Hoyer, who we saw in, was it Sunday Night Football or Thursday Night Football?
The Raiders.
Yeah, remember
it was. I think it was Sunday night.
Okay, yeah. So one of those games, probably Sunday night. We saw.
Brian it was Hoyer the Packers Monday Night Football. Packers.
There we go. Yeah, Monday Night Football. So it's a battle of the backups, kind of like what CP said there in the comments. And Bill, I see you. He's saying agreed, Lions win as well. But yeah, it's a battle of the backups, man. And the only difference is the Bears are 1-5. The Raiders are 3-3 with a chance to get a wild card in the division. You know what I mean? Like not in the division, but in the AFC. The Raiders, dude, they do the defense correctly. Like, yes, they were giving up pretty late leads or whatever to the Packers. And they don't necessarily dominate, but they dominate kind of when it counts, right? Max Crosby, you got there. You saw the throw in the end zone for a winning touchdown was knocked down. Like, the defense does its job. And 19th against points per game, 11th total yards per game, passing yards per game are their 8th, dude. Like, these guys are good. Yes, their sack numbers aren't up, but probably Max Crosby is the reason for them being not exactly at the bottom of that. The Bears on the other side, man, backup quarterback. He did okay. Obviously, he had those 2 turnovers that led to the loss. Tyson Bagent did, and it's going to be tough to not have Justin Fields because there's always that what if Justin Fields was there for the second half of that game. Do we win that game? Are we 2-4 going into this week with a 3-4 on the line? Like, it's just so different. But the Bears doing nothing really spectacular as a team. They have up and down weeks. 2 weeks against the Broncos and the Commanders, they looked like their offensive worries were finally fixed. That's no longer the case, especially with Justin Fields out. I'm taking the Raiders in this one, man. I think even at Soldier Field, the Raiders are going to take the dub, and I know they're the team you hate, and you're probably going to take the Bears, maybe, but I don't see
You're already
the Bears
preparing your heart.
Yeah, I just don't see the Bears with a backup QB and this struggling defense, even though they were putting some pressure on quarterbacks to win this game against the Raiders, even if it's Brian Hoyer or Aiden O'Connell.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was just posting right here. This was a quote. I didn't get the author's name in yet, but he said, I actually think this is a good matchup for Chicago. If they can run the ball effectively, they can still win. I'm not taking the Bears. Yeah. But I wanted you to know that there are people that really that do this for a living. So it's not a stupid pick. The reason I'm taking the Raiders is because I see them trending in the right direction. Now, I understand that the quarterback stuff's going on, and I'm fine with that. But when you look at how much, since the Packer game, really, how much more the tight ends are playing a role in Josh McDaniel's system, the offense is starting to get their identity looking like, with way less talent, looking like how New England, when they had their tight ends involved with Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez and all that. Now they're doing the same thing with their 2 tight end. I can't remember his name, 85, and the guy they drafted.
Oh, Mayer?
Yeah, Mayer from Notre Dame, and then the other guy.
Can't remember the other guy.
He's getting even more looks somehow. Yeah. So probably because defense is focusing their attention on Mayer. But this Raiders team, even though they're not that great, they still kind of know what they are, and that's kind of priceless when you're playing bottom half teams. Really, just I'll take the team with an identity, and the Raiders seem like they're kind of just now getting into one.
Yeah.
And the Bears, meanwhile, it's question marks everywhere. I hate to do it. I'm taking their. I'm not going to even say it.
You're just not taking the Bears. I get it. And I have to agree with what CP said here. The skill players, the skill positions for the Raiders, just so much better. Yes, Devontae Adams, DJ Moore, probably Devontae Adams over DJ Moore, I think, just as a career. But DJ Moore is in competition there. But everything else, the running backs, the tight ends, I just think that they're better. Cole Kmet can make an argument for a better tight end. But I just think that the Raiders, skill-wise, are just so much better, especially on the defensive end with Max Crosby in that secondary, and the way they're able to just kind of hold you defensively to very, very few yards. The Raiders, I think, are going to win this one.
All right, you heard it from a Bears fan. By the way, you are every time you pick the Bears to lose, they win. So you took the Commanders on Thursday night. Then you took the Bears the next week and they lost. So Let's see if we can keep that rolling. Our next game is for Jinja. We got the Cleveland Browns, my top five Cleveland Browns that I was mocked for picking them in my top five. And I'm not necessarily crazy, but Rick thinks so. Here we go. The Colts at home. Cleveland coming off a really impressive win, but this kind of looks like one of those games that they'll mess around and make it close and then win at the end, right? And just make me feel like a complete idiot for putting them in my top five. So I'm gonna double down and say Cleveland wins this big.
Ooh, big! I love it. Look, I'm taking the Browns as well, but would you be surprised if I told you that the Colts offensively?
You know the script.
I know the script. Would you be surprised if I told you that the Colts offensively are at the top half of the league in points scored per game, total yards per game, passing yards per game, and rushing yards per game? Would you be surprised if I said that?
I would be surprised about most of them.
They are, dude. That's insane to me. And because Cleveland has such a crazy defense, it's going to be somewhat... And I say this slightly, so take this, with a grain of salt. It's going to be somewhat of an evenly matched game, even though the defense for the Browns is probably going to crush this team. Now, this is with about 2 games of Gardner Minshew being the starter, and one of those, he was a straight-up starter. The other one, he's kind of come in for Anthony Richardson and did a spot start as well. So you got to, again, take it with a grain of salt, take it with this, take it with that. Deshaun Watson, as you have up there, is, I believe, questionable, probable. I don't know exactly for Deshaun Watson, but
we don't know yet.
This may be the first week that they have him back. Defensive wise, though, the Colts pretty much at the bottom, except for sacks, which they have 18th. They're 9th in the league, and they're 15th in interceptions with 4. So this could be somewhat of a pressure situation for Deshaun Watson. Does he really want to come into a game against one of the top 10 defenses, in sacks? Who knows? The pressure might get to him. He might hurt again. You don't want to rush these things. So can it be PJ Walker? He showed last week that he can manage the game to a dub against the vaunted 49ers defense. So who knows? Will Deshaun Watson play? Will he won't? We're going to find out Sunday morning, and that's kind of how it goes. But I've got the Browns winning this game. It's going to be a closer one than I think you're thinking of. I think it might be within 10 points.
Well, there's different models. FanDuel has it at 5 points, and BetMGM, different model, has it at 2.5, predicting a closer game. I think at the end of the day, Indy's going to be looking for a bounce back win, right? They lost last week. Jonathan Taylor finally came to life after his first game back. He had like 3 carries, but I think Indy's going to be able to run the football, but here's the thing. When you look at opponent rushing yards per game and see where Cleveland ranks, they're 4th. they're only
Yeah.
giving up 79 yards a game. Like, that's
Jesus
not a
Christ.
lot. And then
Yeah.
when you look at passing defense, like opponent passing yards per game, Cleveland's number 1. So
Mm-hmm.
I understand that Indy they're really good at running the football and they can try to keep it close. But at the end of the day, I say if it's PJ Walker or Deshaun Watson, PJ Walker does enough to seal the victory, and Cleveland starts rolling. That's what I think.
Starts rolling. I mean,
That's
they
what I
would be
think.
tied, I think, with if everything falls the way we're going. Ravens lose, Browns win, and all of a sudden they're first, or at least tied for first in the AFC North.
Yeah, and it's only a matter of time before they pull away in this
Yeah.
division. Oh, my bad. Sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. You're good. Just wanted to get this low-scoring game for the Browns win 13-3 by CP.
Wow.
Thanks, CP. Like it.
CP, bold prediction, predicting only
Bold.
3 points scored.
Yeah.
That's I love that. All right. We got Buffalo in Boston, Massachusetts, taking on the Bill Belichick, or the place Bill Belichick used to coach from. We're not sure what he's doing there anymore, but he's still running the show.
Mm-hmm.
Buffalo coming off of a win against the Giants.
That is exactly how I would phrase it. And again, Bill, we're sorry, but that's exactly what it was. It was a win because of some fuck ups by what's his name?
The ref.
No, the quarterback that the Giants put in. Taylor.
Not Taylor Heineke.
No, something Taylor, right? Bill's gonna be in the comments here in a bit.
I was driving the whole time. I missed it.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. So it was a fuck up there in the second half, or first half. Tyrod Taylor, thank you, Bill. Thank you, CP. Tyrod Taylor messed up there at the 1 yard line, called a run play as an audible. They couldn't get to the line close enough or fast enough. Bills escaped that first half without them scoring a touchdown. Now, the Bills didn't score until the fourth quarter. What the Bills don't have going for them right now is their rushing defense. And Ramondre Stevenson in New England can get the running game going if he's given plenty of opportunities. That might be the best shot the New England Patriots have against the Bills, because everything else, the Bills are pretty much up there as far as points per game, yards per game, passing per game, defensive-wise, right? So the best opportunity that the Patriots can have against this Bills team, and Bill Belichick might know it, is running the ball. Now, on the other side with the Bills, they won that game against the Giants, man. That was a rough offensive showing for Josh Allen and those Bills. I said it before last week, him trying to force feed Stephon Diggs. I know he's your best player, but dude, like when they're not there, they're not there. You've got Gabe Davis, you've got James Cook, like you've got these other weapons. Dalton Kincaid, Knox, like you have your tight ends. These are physical tight ends that for some reason are seeing a lack of production. Either way, like don't always force feed Stephon Diggs. I mean, when you have to in those situations where you know Stephon Diggs can make a play, do it. Just like we said about Kamara in this Thursday night football game. Put it in Kamara's hands. Watch him go crazy, right? Let's see if he can make a play. Do it with Stephon Diggs, but don't force feed him for 5, 6, 7 plays in a row when there's nothing there for him to do. I think the Bills take this one against the Patriots. Even
Saquon Barkley?
What?
Are you talking about Saquon Barkley?
No, Tyrod Taylor.
Oh, because you said Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, for the Bills against New England.
Oh, got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have the same exact point on this game. We're on the exact same page.
Yeah, so I just, again, rushing is the best chance that New England's got. But even then, I think the defense is going to step it up, and Josh Allen is probably going to make an absolute embarrassment of this Patriots defense and win by 14, probably more. So I got the Bills.
Yeah, I'm taking the Bills here, but I'm not taking this to be a blowout by any means, and I really think, man, you know how I feel about the Commanders. I really like this Commanders team, but I'm taking the Giants here. I'm taking the Giants here. I think when you look at the opportunities that they had to win the game against Buffalo, like that we would have considered that like New York's turning a page, but because they lost and the refs didn't call that flag, we're just going to ignore what they did last week, and we're going to say it was a fluke and Buffalo had a bad game. Well, we won't know the answer to that until after this week, but I'm willing to bet my pick that New York did turn a page in that performance. And look, what's the secret sauce to all this? Saquon Barkley is back for the Giants. When Saquon Barkley is out, they have nothing going for them. Daniel Jones wins a majority of the games that Saquon Barkley is in, and I understand he's not going to be the guy running the show, but neither is Tyrod Taylor. Saquon Barkley is going to be running the show. I like New York being at home.
Wait,
in
New
this
England's
game.
at home.
New England's at home?
Yeah, we're talking Bills, New England, right?
Oh, I fucked up. I'm on the wrong game.
Yeah,
I'm on the
yeah.
wrong
I was
game.
like, wait, we're talking New England.
That's why I was like, why is he talking about Stephon Diggs? That was
Yeah.
so long ago. All right. Well, I fucked myself on that one. So you know where I'm at with that game. But finishing up the Buffalo game, since I was so excited to move on, apparently, I see no way in hell New England wins this game. I'm taking Buffalo to win by like 14. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Sorry about that.
No worries, man. Because I was like, I think we're talking about two different games here.
Yeah, we've never done that before.
Never. This is the first time ever. CP, Bill, everyone else in here.
We were just talking about how good the show's been going in the back, in the green room, they call it, or whatever. We were like, dude, our chemistry's so great. And then right after that, we're on two different football games.
I love it. So you got Bills. I got Bills. Bills are going to win it.
Absolutely. So the game that I was talking about was the Washington Commanders. And that's why I was saying, you know how I feel about the Commanders. I like the Commanders going into New York. I'm willing to bet that New York is going to. I'm telling you, it's going to be very close. I got New York by 1.
Oh, wow. And look, I'm going with you too. I'm going with the Giants. Bill, we're going with the Giants, baby, at home against a division opponent.
You're going Giants?
We're going Giants, baby. We're going Giants. Let's go for Bill. This one's for you, Bill. The defense last week against the Bills, dude. The Giants showed up, man. For 3 quarters, they held Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, all these players on the Bills to 0 points. Now, can it be credited to the Bills and trying to, again, force feed Stephon Diggs? Maybe. Can it also be credited to the fact that the Giants were able to put some pressure on Josh Allen? Yes, 100% it can be. And Thibodeau, you had Okereke, sorry, Bill, Okereke, all over the field that night, dude. He was killing it. And kind of like you said, have they turned the page over? Definitely on defense. Can Saquon Barkley take over? And can Darren Waller, who saw a lot of targets in the red zone last week, I think they might have a shot here. And I don't know if Daniel Jones is playing. I don't know if you did put up a banner saying that. But if he's not, and it's Tyrod Taylor again.
Yeah, Tyrod Taylor's going.
Okay, so Tyrod Taylor's going. He learned from his mistake last week. Saquon Barkley can be, like you said, a guy who takes over the show and can run the ball against, the Commanders. Rushing yards, they're 23rd. Rushing yards per game, defense, 23rd.
Yikes.
This is perfect. And yes, the New York Giants are 31st, but, dude, Saquon Barkley can run the fucking ball. Darren Waller can catch the ball and make stuff happen. I am going Giants. Bill, let's go, baby.
Giants
let's
down.
Go, Giants.
And I got to say this because it's really funny. It's funny because I legitimately am dyslexic. Like, I twist things. And I know why I got so confused, and it's because New York played Buffalo, and we were on the Buffalo game,
yes.
And my brain just couldn't undo it. Even when you started talking about the game, I put up something about Buffalo, and I'm like, why can't I figure this shit out?
Yeah, but you put something up about Danny Dimes, and I'm like, that's weird. I don't know what happened, but okay.
I can't do this. I can't.
Also, so the only thing I think might be a problem for the Giants is if Tyrod Taylor gets a lot of pressure, because the Commanders get a lot of sacks. They get a lot of pressure with their front four. A lot of talent on that front four. We've said it before. That's really the only thing I could see that really kind of breaks that offense in terms of like not producing and getting that dub.
Yeah, I can see that. And the Commanders defensively, we talk about how good they are with that defensive front, and Emmanuel Forbes has been really being a ball hawk on
Mm-hmm.
defense. Jack Del Rio has them very disciplined and well coached, but they are still ranked 27th in
Mm-hmm.
pass yards allowed. You saw what the Bears were able to do. Denver looked really good against their secondary. They do tend to tighten up towards the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So I really think it's going to be really important for the Giants to be able to get off to a fast start and take advantage of kind of the slow starts Washington's been having this year.
Yeah.
But I just really what kind of changes this game for me is it just feels like a long overdue home win for the Giants. Now
Yeah.
I'm not sure about this, but I think the Giants are they've only lost at home. Correct me if I'm wrong, Bill, but I don't believe the Giants have won a single home game this year because I think their only win was against Arizona on the road.
Yeah. I
Uh,
think so.
so I like long overdue, right? And this is a team, a respectable team. This is a victory I think the Giants want to have. And who knows, man? I don't think the NFC is going to be a powerhouse. You got your
Mm-hmm.
three top teams, but then everyone's going to be like the Saints and the Bucks and the Falcons. And
Yeah.
if the Giants can climb their way back one game at a time, it would have to start with this one. This is a must-have win,
Mm-hmm.
and I agree with you. I got the Giants showing up in that. You got
Giants by
anything else?
3. Giants by 3, baby. I think Giants by 3.
Ooh, okay, by
Yeah.
3. So I
Yeah.
took them. I took them by 1. I like the by 3. We did talk about this game very very briefly in our last
Mm-hmm.
stream just now because the Saints lost, and here we go. Two NFC teams going at it. Tampa Bay at home against the Atlanta Falcons. Both of these teams need to win to try to pull away in the NFC South. That division's wide open.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I, every time I get burned, every time I pick Atlanta, I get burned, and
Yeah.
every time I pick against Tampa, it burns me. So I'm gonna just keep doing it. I'm taking the Falcons to win.
You're
I
insane.
understand. You know what? Well,
You're you're
I
insane.
just can't figure it out, dude. Tampa
Let
Bay's
me
really that good defensively?
let me woo you. Ritter has been defeated on the road. The last 10 games, the last 10 road games for the Falcons, they have averaged 10 points and are 1-9. They are 1-9. Will the streak of being defeated on the road for Ritter be broken? Absolutely not. Dude, take the Bucks. I think Baker Mayfield after last week just getting embarrassed. I think he's gonna take that and want to win at home big against Atlanta. They know they're struggling. The home record winning streak is over. What I do like is that Desmond Ritter's throwing the ball a lot, getting a lot of yards, getting his targets done for Drake London, for Kyle Pitts, and we talk about him a lot, but what's his name, the running back, Bijan Robinson. I just think that Baker, after all the mistakes he made last week, overthrowing his receiver, getting sacked, running the ball terribly, whatever it was, he's going to want to win big at home to show Tampa Bay Bucks fans and the coaching staff, hey, you made the right decision with me, and we're going to have a shot at this NFC South. I think they win big at home against the Falcons. The Falcons just suck on the road, and they're going to keep sucking on the road as long as Desmond Ridder is the quarterback there.
Yeah, and like for Atlanta, it's been a week of like almost putting it together, and I know what that looks like. But Atlanta at least has an identity, and they're gonna run the football.
Mm-hmm.
That's their shit. That's what they do. They run the football. So when you're looking defensively, because we know the Bucks and their defense has been pretty good this year, but when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to running the football, Tampa is ranked 7th. So they're
Yeah.
top 10. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
Atlanta hasn't necessarily been really, really good at running the football, to be totally honest. Like, that's their thing, but they were
Yeah.
better at it last year at this point. They were leading the league for most of the year last year in running. Right now, they're 10th. So this is my matchup right here. You got the
Oh.
10th rushing offense, and you got the 11th rushing defense. That's why I say that this is going to be a really close game. And I'm going to take Atlanta. To me, Tampa hasn't done anything yet for me to go, you know what? Tampa's actually the best team in the NFC South. Not
Yeah.
one time did I
Yeah.
say that. So until Tampa proves it to me, like, and I don't even know if a 1 point win would do it. You know what I mean? Like, they need to really separate themselves. And even though their record's pretty good, I just don't feel that way about Tampa yet.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe I'm totally wrong on this one, but I'm just gonna have to wait and see. But I'm right there with you. I got Tampa Bay losing at home.
Wow.
this is
Wow.
this is gonna be a really, really fun next game that we're about to do right here, unless you got
So,
anything else on that one.
yeah, real quick. Tampa Bay loses this game. They move to 3-3. Atlanta moves to 4-3. If Baker has a game like he did last week, where he looks just completely off the script with his wide receivers, he's not making the correct moves, he's not throwing the ball great. Are we seeing sort of something of a change there, quarterback with Baker, or is he going to be the starter for at least another game, or is it like Baker's game? It's Baker's the quarterback there, like no matter what.
Baker's the quarterback there. I mean, if Tampa were to not go out and win, because I think the way they looked at it was, we're going to ride with Baker Mayfield, and if he sucks, we're still going to ride with him so we can get a good draft pick and draft our next future quarterback.
Yeah.
So I do think if Baker's doing so, and then the upside is if he surprises us, then then so be it. It's a win-win.
Yeah.
When you're going in, like, think from an ownership standpoint, that's probably the thinking is like, hey, if he sucks, we win, and if he's good, we win. But what's interesting is Baker is kind of in that sweet spot of mediocre, where maybe they would want to go with somebody else just to have somebody worse. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
Baker's not awful by any means.
And they've got some players to make a move if necessary too.
Yeah, definitely. And Temple's going to love this next game. Our next game is the Pittsburgh Steelers going into the City of Angels to take on the Rams. The Rams surprising a lot of people this year.
Yeah.
I absolutely hate this game. Welcome to Don't Touch It. Don't touch it. This game to me is like, you really feel strongly about one or the other? Yeah. Absolutely not.
So for me, I don't know. I agree with you, but also like the Rams have been looking good, man. The Rams have been looking good this year in a year where we thought they were going to come third in the division, right? And they probably will. Like, but we didn't think they were going to be showing signs of offensive life, which is exactly what Stafford, Puka Nacua, all these guys have done. Kyron Williams has emerged after they got rid of Cam Akers, right? Like, we keep talking about that because he is just doing really well there in LA. So I think you do have to feel strongly about the Rams. You know, Temple, I think, really likes the Rams. He's a Rams fan, but I think he really likes them against the Steelers because, one, the Steelers' offense, lifeless. Kenny Pickett is bad right now. I don't want to say he's bad forever, but Matt Canada is not doing this guy any fucking favors. The defense is giving up 245 pass yards per game, which is something that Stafford and Nacua and Cooper Kupp and Kyron Williams do really, really well, is that pass game, right? So I think the Rams are going to win this game easily at home. There is going to be, I think, some very like crazy sacks going on, especially with the Steelers, because they do have a lot of sacks this year, especially with TJ Watt there. So the defense is going to try to play a game of its life against the Rams. But I also want to give you another stat. In the Pacific time zone, Mike Tomlin is only 3-7 with the Steelers in those 10 games. So this might be a 3-8 record coming up here. I'm taking the Rams at home to beat the Steelers by 10.
Man, the only reason I struggle with it is because Mike Tomlin doesn't have losing seasons, and right now he's 3-2, coming off of a bye.
Yeah,
you give him some extra time to prepare. Now, I agree with everything you said, and I'm going to take the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
But for I would not. I feel I really want to pick Pittsburgh. I want that to be clear. I
Yeah.
want to pick the Steelers. Um, I just don't. I just don't trust this game in general.
Bill Eckler's on the Chargers. So you said you were picking the Rams and you wanted to pick
Yeah,
the
I'll take the
Steelers.
Rams at home because of the what I just put about Matt Canada's
Yeah.
offense.
Yeah.
I just are the Rams. It seems like Sean McVay did a full reset, and he did it really fast. He got rid of a lot of people,
Mm,
and it's working. Like he had to redefine himself. You know what I mean? He had to
yeah.
redefine this team. He wasn't trying, and that's what Bill Belichick's failing to do in New England.
Mm,
Sean McVay looked at it and he's like, okay, what do I need to do based on the situation I'm in, the division I'm in, to make this team good again? And it seems like he did it. So, I'm gonna go with him here at home.
all right. All right. I agree. I agree.
Our next game is where me and Rick, where I used to live. It's the Seattle Seahawks, home of the what?
Seahawks?
12th man. The 12th man. Jeez. Doesn't even no. So the Arizona Cardinals are coming in. I'm taking the Seahawks right off the bat. I Arizona. Kyler Murray is practicing again. I don't know if
Yeah.
you guys saw that. Kyler Murray's
Sure.
practicing again. He was just cleared to go back to practice. So Arizona's been playing tough, while he's been out. They have not, like we were just saying 2 weeks ago, if anybody's playing Arizona in Arizona, the players know this is a work trip. They got to
Mm-hmm.
go earn that win. So I'm not going to let a couple wins, make me think like Arizona's gone. They're still
Mm-hmm.
fighting really hard and playing close games. But Seattle's at home, the 12th man. I'm gonna go with Seattle in this game.
100%. As someone who lives in the area, the Seattle area, yes, I know how important that 12th man is. I know how important Lumen Field is for the Seattle Seahawks. What I love most is their coach, Pete Carroll, man. He's doing stuff with Geno Smith. He's making this team just like, I don't know, relevant in the NFC West. Again, we didn't think they were going to go to the wild card last year, and they did. And it's because of good coaching. And Geno Smith kind of having a resurgence kind of year, right? Now, Kenneth Walker's doing really well. DK Metcalf, I don't think he's having that great of a season. You saw him get in like fights, causing penalties. Don't love that. But just out of frustration, I think that's kind of what it was last week. The rushing defense for this, I believe, Seattle team, yes, fifth in the league, only giving up about 70, 80 yards. The rushing offense for the Cardinals, sixth in the league, doubling that at 141 yards per game. That's going to be a crazy matchup, I think. And that's, I think, what really. I think the passing game is really what's gonna determine who wins this game, but that's gonna be a battle. Like, can you get the running game off to a good start? And if so, cool. That opens up the pass. There you go. You just run the ball now. You know what I mean? Like, and against this Cardinals team who has struggled hard with Joshua Dobbs and James Conner, I believe is still out. There's really no hope in picking the Arizona Cardinals in this game, especially in Seattle, man. Joshua Dobbs is gonna be he's gonna struggle because the Seahawks do get to the quarterback. We saw what they did against the Giants. I believe they sacked him 11 times or 7 times, Daniel Jones, something like that. One of those numbers. It was a high number. They get to the quarterback and they get to him with a ferocity that reminds me of 2006 Bears. But I think I'm taking no, I don't think I'm taking the fucking Seattle Seahawks to win this game. And Joshua Dobbs is going to have a 2-interception type of night with Witherspoon there at cornerback.
Yeah, and I'm looking right now. Arizona, you got to give Dobbs credit because one thing that he has done is keep Arizona in the games. And when you look at what is the biggest teller of who will win and who will lose, it's turnovers. If you can win the turnover battle, then most of the time, if you lose, it'll be a close margin, but you'll always be in the game. Yeah. Dobbs has only thrown, like if you look at the interceptions, I believe, too. NFL team interceptions thrown per game, Arizona's ranked 4th with 0.5,
Yeah.
right? Like the Raiders are the worst, right? So they're protecting the ball, and I think just that will keep them in games. We hear about this all the time. Like, you get a backup quarterback, and it's like, no, he's not great, but he also doesn't throw interceptions. Your Teddy Bridgewaters, you know what I mean, that are just going to come in and give your defense a chance to try to win the game. And the way I see it kind of playing out after 4 red zone trips resulted in nothing last week, I think this is going to be a team ready to capitalize and not do what happened last week. So for that reason, I'm right there with you. I got the Seattle Seahawks winning this game at home. That is a afternoon game, 4:05 for the East Coast, 2:05 your time. So let's go. And this game, ladies and gentlemen, this game right here, this shit right here, this shit right here, this shit I wait 4 years for, and I get it once every 4 years.
Yep.
The Green Bay Packers going to the Mile High City to take on the Denver Broncos, the team where I was born versus the team that I love. This is going to be awesome to see. Every time I see it, it reminds me of the old Packers-Broncos Super Bowl, because you don't see them that much. Elway doing the helicopter. Well, this time we don't have Elway. We don't have Elway. I think Green Bay should win this game. Let me take the Broncos at home. I got the Broncos at home. I'll explain why in a second.
This game, dude. Kyle and I, we really try to be there for each other's teams, the Bears and the Broncos. And as much as I love to root for the Broncos, you know, even though sometimes I pick them to lose, like I'll be here for the stream with Kyle and be like, let's go, Russ. Come on, what the fuck you doing? This, and that, right? This is a game of like a terrible team in the Broncos and a very, very middle of the pack, probably lower part of that middle of the pack team in the Packers. Neither team really impresses on either side of the ball. Why'd you have me small screen, Kyle? What the hell?
Oh, my bad. I didn't even thank you.
Neither team really impresses on either side of the ball, I would say. Really, it's just the quarterbacks. The quarterbacks are probably the best part of this game. You know, you got Jordan Love, who is in his first full year of starting, and he's making mistakes. But again, when they played the Raiders, you know, in that Monday Night Football game, he took that shot in the end zone. I love the aggressiveness. Could he have done something better on that first down? Yeah, maybe. But, I mean, you love the aggressiveness from a young kid who wants to win the fucking game. And Russell Wilson having one of the better seasons in his career, too. You know, 12 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions right now. Like, that's a good ratio, even through 6 weeks of the NFL, right? These are going to be the absolute most important people in this game. It's not going to be the defense. It's not going to be the offensive line. It's not going to be the running backs. It's going to be who's the better quarterback in this game. And yes, you look at Russ, he's the better quarterback in a career. But just in this game, who's going to be the better quarterback? The guy who throws the most yards, the most touchdowns, that's the guy who's going to win. It's not going to come down to rushing. It's not going to come down to defense, because to be honest, both of these defense stink. It's really just going to come down to, can Russell Wilson out quarterback Jordan Love? And I'm betting no, unfortunately, Kyle. I'm sorry. I'm taking the Packers. I'm taking the Packers, unfortunately, in this game. Especially,
come on.
I know, and they're in Denver. I want them to win, but I got to take the Packers in this one, dude. The Broncos have showed me zero reason why to pick them.
You know when Bruce Almighty's doing that interview by the Niagara Falls? And he's like, is it my hair, Bill? Are my teeth not white enough?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Bronco games make me weird. I got to say, though, that the Broncos defense, you said you don't like either of these defenses. Well, one of these defenses is absolutely atrocious. Absolutely atrocious. And every quarterback has their best game.
Yep.
against this Denver Broncos defense. But could we be seeing a step in the right direction? Well, yes, we definitely saw a step in the right direction, holding Kansas City to 1 touchdown with like 5 red zone trips, including a 4th down stop. Our defense last week was a totally different defense, so we cannot just throw that away because maybe something about the philosophy, the system, maybe it clicked. I'm not betting on it, okay? But when I really look, normally I can just take the 2 quarterbacks, and whoever's better normally wins the game. So let's just do that. Jordan Love facing Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson has no business being out quarterbacked by Jordan Love at home. I think Denver is going. Look, I don't even know at this point. It's a very confusing time. I don't even know if we want to win. Are we supposed to want to win in this situation where we know we need a rescuer to be drafted? But the thing is it's like Justin Fields. He knows that his job is on the line. So I expect Russell Wilson to go out there and play like his job's on the line. I think it's going to be a very, very close game. I do not see. I don't think it's crazy. I'm taking Denver because they're at home. This game's in Lambeau. I'm going Green Bay.
All right. You are taking the Broncos at home, but if it were in Lambeau, you would take the Packers.
Absolutely. And hey, while we're talking about all of these AFC West teams, why don't we go ahead and talk about the next one, which is going to be the Los Angeles Chargers taking on the Kansas City Chiefs in Arrowhead. Kansas City coming off of a long rest. Travis Kelce has done a lot since then. He's been on SNL. He has been in Philly watching a Phillies baseball game with his brother. Now it's time to get back to work for the Chargers. They are coming off a disappointing loss against the Cowboys where they look all right, but I think the main thing with the Chargers is they have a lot of talent, but they don't get the most out of their players. Going into Kansas City, I like this spot for Justin Herbert as an underdog. I'm taking the Chargers.
What? Let me give you 2 reasons why the Kansas City Chiefs are going to win. Time of possession and defense. Defense is going to destroy Justin Herbert. Now, Justin Herbert, offensively speaking, both of these teams look evenly matched. The biggest advantage that the Chiefs have is time of possession in a game. Dude, they will have an offensive series for 10 minutes. That leaves you 5 minutes for the rest of the quarter, and guess what? The defense is going to take a 3 and out for the Chiefs. This defense has been historic, and you and I have said it before. This is the best defense the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, most importantly, has had in his entire career. Another thing, the Chiefs coming off 10 days rest. Chargers coming off 3 days rest. It's almost like, or 4 days rest, whatever it may be. It's almost like they hate the Chargers and they want them to lose because the Chiefs have all the rest they need. Their defense is still been good. Their offense, while Patrick Mahomes hasn't been astounding like he usually is. If you remember last year, I would be like, oh, another 350-yard game, 2-3 touchdown game by Patrick Mahomes is getting boring because of how good he is. He's not there yet, and you could see it in the stats, but I think he's going to get there soon. And the Chargers are probably going to be one of those games where the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes get there. Now, Chiefs, since Patrick Mahomes has been a starting quarterback in 2018, 27-4 against the entire division. That's only 4 losses. Dude, I can't see the Chiefs losing at home against the Chargers with their defense, time of possession, Patrick Mahomes, their record. It's been 6 years of pure domination of that AFC West for the Chiefs. Chiefs are winning. Chargers, though, probably going to put up a fight. I'm thinking maybe like a 30-24, 27-20 type of game.
Yeah, and I don't think it's crazy. Last season, I was trying to put it up. The Chiefs did sweep the series against the Chargers for the first time since Justin Herbert is the Chargers quarterback. So it's not like, in recency, we haven't seen the Chiefs beat the Chargers in over a year. But when you look at collectively Chargers Chiefs, they go both ways. They Sometimes they win, sometimes they lose. They're kind of toss-ups, but I put it up here. The Chiefs had 9 days to rest since last Thursday night. The
Yep.
Chargers played on Monday night. They only have 5 days. It always seems like the Chiefs just have very favorable things happening. I just got to say it. But anyway, I really think that this may be a case of, like, Denver only had 4 days to prepare for the Chiefs game, and they played the Chiefs really tough.
Yeah.
So sometimes when you have a quick turnaround, when you're coming off a loss like Dallas, you want to get back on the field. I think the 5 days is good, and I think the 9 days is bad. And I just think
Ooh.
sometimes it plays out like that. I literally, what people are pointing at as the advantage, I'm going to take it as the disadvantage. And I think the Chargers come out, like, if the Chiefs win, not shocked. But if we're talking about this game turns into a shootout, which offense do I trust more? The Chargers. Absolutely.
I think so far through a year and a half, a season and a half of picking Chiefs game, I would love to see what your record is because every time you pick against the Chiefs, it does seem to backfire. You're like, no, you know what? This is the time they're gonna lose. It's not good. This and that, and it's just like, ooh, I don't know about that record, but no, man, I've got that. I've got the Chiefs all day. That defense is gonna make problems for Justin Herbert. You already saw he had issues going to his guys last week, and Quentin Johnson, a guy who really the Chargers team and the fans thought was going to be really well, hasn't really panned out this year so far. So, and they've already lost Mike Williams. Like, they've got Austin Eckler, and they've got what's his face, the other wide receiver.
Mike Williams.
No, the other guy.
Not what's his face?
Not Austin Eckler, but
Oh, you're talking about
yeah, I think you know what I'm talking about.
yeah, of course. Keenan Allen.
Keenan Allen. There we go. That's kind of who they have to rely on right now.
Yeah, and that first game was my game of the week, but if somehow you took that game away and said you can't have this as your game of the week, well, look no further than Rick's game of the week. Here we go. The Miami Dolphins, who are scored the most points in the first 6 games in NFL history, taking on the tough Bulldog defense of the Philadelphia Eagles. That this game, to me, is going to be awesome. Now, we've seen Miami play a couple close, tough defenses. I'll tell you what I think is going to happen. Go for it. Tell me who you got. I'm excited.
This is my game of the week, and for obvious reasons. Both teams drafted a franchise quarterback in 20. Both made a huge play for a wide receiver in free agency in 2022. Both teams are coming into this week with tied for the best record in the NFL. They also have a top 10 first-round wide receiver in Jalen Waddle and and Devontae Smith. These teams are like the same team. But I got to go with the Dolphins, man. They are the best offense through 6 weeks of NFL football in NFL history. The greatest show on turf? No. The greatest show on surf and turf. Dolphins in Miami.
I like it.
They're fucking killing it right now. I'm taking the Dolphins in Philly. It's going to be a hostile environment. And look, the Dolphins lost against, who was it? The Bills, I believe. But this is going to be such a great game. This is almost maybe even maybe it's even better than that 49ers Cowboys game. Obviously the hype was great and, the game turned out to be shit, but I think the hype and the game in this one will be good for football. Sunday Night Football could not have picked a better matchup. This is my game of the week, and this is going to be a hell of a game. I'm taking Dolphins.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun. And one of the things that I want to point out when looking at matchups here is that the Dolphins have been a totally different team when they're playing at home. They're just so much better, offensively. And not only are they not at home, but they have to go on the road. And the only time we've seen Miami play a defense like they're playing was against Buffalo. And when they played Buffalo, they lost, right? And they could not slow down Buffalo's offense. I look, you're not getting Jalen Hurts coming off of a tough win. You got Jalen Hurts coming off a tough loss,
Yep.
and you're at home. I think this is a very humble pie game for Miami, because it's one thing to be great at offense, it's another thing to be a great football team. The Miami Dolphins do not have a good defense right now. They're ranked in the bottom half of most
Mm-hmm.
categories. Their offense makes up for it. You wouldn't even know it because of how good their offense is. When there's something so great about a team, you tend not to look at the negatives. And that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of been the case for Miami all season because it's a historic offense, like you mentioned. But
Yep.
this is an opportunity for a magnifying glass to be put on the defense, and also can Tua make plays happen against a real tough defense on the road with the crowd banging. I got Philly in this game,
Ooh,
bouncing
okay.
back and winning.
And one of the big things that I feel like this kind of goes back to another game we talked about, the time of possession for the Dolphins. They're 22nd in the league, but they score so fast. They score
Yeah,
so quick that they just put
it's
up
not their
so many
fault.
points on the board. And yeah,
Yeah,
it's not their fault because if you're putting up points in 3 minutes and that's happening every time you're on the offense, yeah, your fucking time of possession is going to be bad, but you've put up 35, 40 points, like that's good. And in my favorite matchups of this week, which we will get into later, it is about this game, so just a little spoiler for you guys.
ooh, okay, excited about that. Um, yeah, I think this is an opportunity though for Miami to prove to the world that they're for real. And if Tua goes out and has himself a 300-yard multiple touchdown game, all of a
Mhm.
sudden Tua comes, from Mike McDaniel's a genius to Mike McDaniel's a genius and Tua is a top 10 quarterback in the league,
Yeah.
right? And remember,
Yeah.
he was snubbed last year from the Pro Bowl, I believe, when he was, I mean, he got hurt a lot, but when we saw him for those first 4 weeks, dude, they beat Buffalo. Miami was good. And
Mhm.
that's why this offseason I kept looking at it and going, I don't think people realize how good Miami is offensively. And I'm so glad I did, because now look, it sounds genius. But when you
Yeah.
look at it, it's like they had to go in with a backup quarterback so many times, and they still went into the playoffs and almost beat Buffalo. And not only that,
Yeah.
but they finished the season ranked third in yards. Um, I mean, third
Yeah.
with that's because when they had Tua, they got so many yards that when the backups came in, they didn't totally drop them to the bottom. Like,
Yeah.
so it's like, imagine what this team could do if Tua stays healthy. I like the chances of Tua staying healthy. It's
Mhm.
like, hey, I'm just, I guess, a half full kind of guy, because I looked at it like, oh, if he went through that many injuries in 1 year, then there's definitely no chance he goes through another one. He went through his career length of injuries in one
Yeah.
season,
Yep.
and he learned how to fall and all of that stuff. So, like, I really think this is a great opportunity for Miami to kind of step up and never look back.
Mhm.
But it's just a really tough environment. It's going to be a fucking amazing game.
Yeah. I love it. I love this game. My game of the week, baby. Stand
Rick's
by for Sunday
game
Night Football with us.
Rick's game of the week. Always love Rick's game of the week. Normally they're like Bears, Commanders. This week we actually get a good one. Here's a good game. You got a team that me and Rick have as our number one in the power rankings, even though they came off of a loss. We're not going to look into it too much. The San Francisco 49ers going into Minnesota to take on the Vikings, who have been competitive in every game but lost most of them, while the 49ers have been blowing out their competition. Um, it's, to me, seems like we've already started talking about Kirk Cousins being on the
Mhm.
trade deadline type stuff. So to me, I already feel like the attitude has shifted towards the next quarterback. And I think this game is just going to kind of put the nail in the coffin for the Vikings. I got the 49ers.
Yeah, I got the 49ers too, man. The Vikings are coming off a win against the Bears. And that what did they need to win? They needed an interception and a fumble to happen in that game, right? Their defense didn't do anything. They put a lot of pressure on Fields. They put a lot of pressure on Bajent. But when Bajent came in, he was coming down the field, so their secondary was suffering because of that blitz. Again, we talked about the Minnesota Vikings being one of the top blitzing teams in the league, and they did that against this team. they're not going to be able to do that against San Francisco, man. It's going to be tough because Brock Purdy, and if Christian McCaffrey does come back this week, which I'm not sure if he is, Brandon Ayuk, you still got there. You still got George Kittle. You still got weapons around Brock Purdy outside of Deebo Samuel and CMC to get the ball to like that, like quick, man. Like no matter how much the Vikings rush against this team, the 49ers, they might be down Trent Williams this week as well, but I still think that O-line as a unit is very good. I still think they could put up a lot of points against this defense. And as far as the offense, Kirk Cousins does put up a lot of yards. They can put up a lot of points. But this defense for the 49ers is just overwhelming. They're too good. If they rush somebody, if they rush one guy, you're already overmatched, right? If they rush Fred Warner, you're already overmatched. Fred Warner can run fucking north, south, east, west. He can cover guys. He can get interceptions. He can get sacks. He can get fumbles. This is going to be a very suffocating game for the Minnesota Vikings. And they're going to be, I believe, at home. But the 49ers are going to make it their home. 49ers win by 2 score against the Vikings.
Yeah, and 49ers are a good team, and they travel well. And you travel especially well when you're winning. And Kirk Cousins, I put it up, he's not very good in prime time. He's 11 and 18. Mm-hmm. But what's even worse in this scenario, Monday Night Football, he's worse on Monday night. He's 2-10. A 2-10 record on Monday night. That's, you know what they say, like it's a trend at some point, right?
Yep. And this San Francisco defense is going to be mad as shit that they lost to PJ Walker and the Browns, dude. They're going to be mad as shit coming into this game, and Kirk Cousins is going to hate the Browns by the end of this game. He's going to get fucked up.
Yeah, and here's the other. If they had a chance to win this game, it would have been if they were able to ride with Justin Jefferson. No JJ for this game. Yeah. It was the Achilles. I think he's going to be out for 4 weeks minimum.
4 to 6, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, 4 to 6 weeks. So you look at the Vikings, and it almost feels like we're kind of getting to the worst place to be is where the Vikings are right now, right? Because you don't know what to do. It's like, do we tear it down, or do we, hey, can Kirk Cousins actually win us a big game if we get a better defense? It's fair to believe that. But at the same time, man, it's just, you don't know what to do with this team. The Vikings just aren't very complete. I thought Brian Flores would make a big difference defensively. He's a great coach, but it's not his coaching. It's that they're limited with the talent. They don't have enough talent on the defensive side of the ball. They got rid of Patrick Peterson, who was kind of old, but he was still, a Pro Bowler last year. So I don't know, man. I look at this Vikings team, and I don't have a lot of hope for them this year. And meanwhile, San Francisco wants to get a bad taste out of their mouth. They're going to come in rolling.
Yep, and that was our Week 7 predictions. We are doing our predictions for Thursday Night Football now on our Monday episode, which is our recap episode. I know it gets kind of weird, but just stay tuned. And, if you can't catch the live stream, we obviously post these videos up the following day. So go check it out there. But that is the final game of our Week 7 predictions. I think Kyle and I are going to get every single game right, except the ones that Kyle disagreed with me. I'm going to get those right. Kyle's going to be wrong. That's usually how it goes.
Not lately.
All right. Let's move on to our next segment, one that I am pretty excited to get to. Week 7, favorite matchup of this week. Kyle, do you want me to go first, or would you like to go first?
Yeah, you can go first.
All right, so I mentioned it earlier during our predictions, and it was the Dolphins-Eagles game. What I'm most excited to see about this, right? The Dolphins' defense versus a struggling Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts has 4 touchdowns, 4 interceptions in the last 3 games. Those were against the Jets, the Rams, the Commanders. 0 against the Commanders, but 4 against the Jets and the Rams. Jets, good defense. Rams, not so good defense, right? So the Dolphins are 3rd in the league in sacks. And my favorite matchup right there is to see whether or not the pressure will get to Jalen Hurts to cause more interceptions in this game. The passing defense, the rushing defense, not great for the Dolphins. They're bottom of the league, and they have Vic Fangio there. He's probably going to get it right soon. But right now, the best thing that this defense on the Dolphins has going for them is the quarterback pressure and the sacks. 3 in the league, like I said. Jalen Hurts is struggling right now. His numbers are nowhere near what his numbers were last year. Lane Johnson was out last week as well. We don't know what his status is yet for this week. That is a good recipe for this Dolphins defense to get to Jalen Hurts to either cause interceptions, to cause 3 and outs, or to cause fumble sixes, or just strip sacks, anything, right? So that's my matchup of the week that I'm looking at for my game of the week. Dolphins defense versus Jalen Hurts. Sorry, Dolphins rushing attack defensive-wise versus Jalen Hurts.
I like it. Mine is going to be with one of my upsets. So I'm going to go with the Chargers and the Chiefs game. And
Okay.
one of the things I'm looking at is we saw against the Cowboys game, the Chargers able to get down into the red zone, even the hot zone, not come away with points. Now the Chargers, their efficiency in the red zone hasn't really been that way all season. And when you look at their red zone scoring percentage, they're ranked 5th. And that means 65% of the time they're in the red zone, they're getting a touchdown. Now, when you look at their last game against Dallas, they're 50%. That's not good. 50% is around 20th. Okay, so meanwhile, Kansas City red zone efficiency, they're 17th, 54%. So I do think a big part of this game is going to be who is going to turn red zone trips into touchdowns. And we know how good Kansas City's defense is, so it's not going to be an easy task. But I think when you're playing Mahomes, you have to capitalize on scoring opportunities. The Chargers are the 5th best at doing that, and that's part of the reason I'm taking Chargers.
All right, I like it. I like the red zone. I love it. We'll see if the Chiefs defense can do it though, because I don't know what their percentage is in the red zone. I just think a lot of teams don't really get in the red zone on the Chiefs defense, but that'll be an interesting one to watch. You got anything else, Kyle, for favorite matchups for Week 7?
I did have one more.
Absolutely, go for it, dude.
It was the Detroit Lions, because the Lions they're playing the Ravens, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you look up the team's first quarter scoring, Detroit is ranked number 1 in the NFL. They are getting off to a faster start than any team in the league, while Baltimore is 4th, right? So Baltimore also pretty good in the first quarter. So I think it's going to be a fun match where it could be one of those where at the end of the first quarter, you're looking at it and it's 14-14, in the first quarter. And then in the second quarter, Detroit's ranked 9th and Baltimore 20th. Okay, so that would be kind of the moment for Detroit to pull away. Third quarter points, Baltimore's 9th and Detroit goes down to 21st. But that may be because they're winning some games. And, if you get off to a fast start, you can be conservative. Like, think about that Packer game. Detroit was really running the ball in the third quarter. But what I see when I look at that is that when Detroit has to answer, they're able to score touchdowns. And it almost looks as if the reason that their scoring goes down is because of the first and second quarter. They got themselves to a lead. That's why they've won their last 4 games by 14 points or more. So I think Baltimore may be able to try to stay in offensively, but the reason this is a key matchup, or why I'm pointing it out, is because we may have not even seen the Lions fully unleash besides against Seattle, where both teams scored 40 points. So I think the first quarter is really going to be a big tell on how this game's going to go. Detroit not being an underdog on the road. Dan Campbell hasn't been an underdog in quite some time, probably week 1. So I'm excited to see this Detroit team in a hostile environment, in a Baltimore defense where they're very physical. It's Baltimore. I I think defensively they're ranked in the top 10 in a lot of categories. This is a big test, and Detroit's going to have to come out and punch them in the mouth in the first quarter if they want to win.
All right, let's see what happens in that Ravens-Lions game. And obviously catch our live stream on Sunday, guys. We're going to be here streaming all the games on Sunday morning to Sunday Night Football to Monday Night Football, right into our Week 7 recap with Kyle and I here on Only Football. Let's get into our next one. Conspiracies with Kyle. Oh, Kyle's got the music coming up. Kyle,
I've looked so hard for.
What the fuck, Kyle?
It's just a bad producing day. It's a bad. All right, here we go. Ready?
Yep. Oh, what is this?
The Cleveland Browns were never made to succeed. The Cleveland Browns, from the beginning of their days, were made to be the league's worst team. If you will, a get-well game. Why? It's a great question. It all starts in 1995, the darkest year in Browns history. 1 year before their team would go to Baltimore and be the Baltimore Browns or whatever, they were 5-11, and they lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jaguars, very important into this whole thing, and so are the Panthers.
Ooh.
Why? Because the Carolina Panthers and the Jacksonville Jaguars, in their first 2 years of being an NFL team, made it to a conference championship. The NFL said that was fast. Too fast. Maybe we're being too generous to these new upcoming teams. We're giving them too many draft picks. So what did they do when the Browns came in? They had a harsher set of expansion draft rules that limited the kind of coach they could get, so they couldn't trade for a good coach. They ended up having to settle with Chris Palmer. They had a lack of a draft. When it comes to the amount of days, this is going to blow your mind. When it comes to, I get really into it.
I love it.
When it comes to the amount of days that Jacksonville had before they started, right? The Texans, the Panthers, all of them. The Jaguars had. Hold on. Don't. Hold on.
Kyle is talking about how the Browns have never been set up for success. Kyle.
The Jacksonville Jaguars had. Here it is. 1,000 days until starting. That was the Texans. Now, the Jaguars and Panthers each got 640 days. Okay? Now, the Jags and Panthers were the most recent team. So when they ended up going to the conference championship in the first two years, guess what they gave the Browns? 369 days to become a team.
Wow.
So they literally, because of the success that the Jags and Panthers had, they gave them half of the time to get ready while handicapping them by taking their draft capital.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, Cleveland made some bad draft choices and stuff like that. But what makes Cleveland unique from any other team in the NFL is that they're the only NFL team that was actually set up to not succeed. And anybody that knows the Browns knows that. That is the dark history of the Cleveland Browns.
Let's go. Give it up for Kyle's Conspiracies. I love it. How long did it take you to research that? Because the days one is crazy. Only 369 days to form a team versus 1,000 for the... Who was it? 1,000 for the Texans. Only
1,000 for the Texans, yeah.
600 for the Panthers and the Jags. That's insane, man. You're only giving a city in just 1 year to go from nothing to put an NFL product out there.
Yeah, not enough.
Wow.
It's 100% though. That's what it is. The NFL saw Jacksonville, and hockey might do the same thing because Vegas went to the Stanley Cup their first year.
Yep.
Don't get it twisted. If they make another football team, don't be surprised if the rules are a little different, because that's exactly what happened to the Browns. They got the shit end of the stick of the success that the Panthers and Jags had, which is funny because the Panthers and Jags, it's not like they won Super Bowls or anything. You know what I mean? Two franchises that don't have a Super Bowl yet.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at it, it's like, what was there to really change? I mean, the fact that they went to an AFC championship, who cares? It's not like they went on, 2 Super Bowls in 3 years or anything like that. They have yet to win one. It looks silly now to look back and be like, the Jags and Panthers were so good that the NFL made new rules for the Browns. They weren't that good. They were good.
Yeah.
They went to the AFC championship. They beat Denver actually in the divisional round. It was a huge upset in 97, but they were not, so good that the NFL needed to change their policy at all.
I wonder what it was that really makes them not want to have new teams succeed. I wonder what it is, because you look at that and you're like, we can attract some more cities because look at the turnover. In 2 years, you go to a conference championship game. You may not win it all, but hey, that's a great foundation for success. I wonder what that may be with the NFL. But yeah, that's a crazy one.
That's a crazy one. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know Bill loved it.
Yep. All right, let's move on from Conspiracies with Kyle. This is the second or third edition of Conspiracies with Kyle, so keep up this season as Kyle ramps up the spookiness. But let's move on to the little chives.
Little chives?
Little chives, Kyle. Put it up. Put it up. Put it up.
Oh,
put it up. Put it up. The chives.
Keep doing it. Don't stop. Don't stop.
The chives.
Don't stop.
With Kyle. Let's go. Kyle, what you got for us?
All right. So I wanted to mention something about the Chiefs game, okay? Andy Reid is 27-3 in his career when he has a 4+ day rest advantage over the opposition. So we talked about it earlier that because the Monday Night Football game, the Chargers are actually only getting 4 days of rest. 5. While the Chiefs, because they played Denver on Thursday night, are going to get 9 days. So in any game, Andy Reid has had more than 4+ days than the opponent. He's 27-3.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I said sometimes time can be a bad thing. Well, for head coach Andy Reid, time has never been a bad thing. Andy Reid has always been a coach that responds very well to time. That's why he's one of the best September coaches in the NFL, because he had all offseason to prepare for games. And he's going to come out and he's going to be ready. I only made this my Chives because I said sometimes time is a bad thing. I wanted to make sure that I mentioned that going off history, there's no reason for me to have this belief, right, that the Chiefs are going to do it. It's just a gut feeling.
All right. I like it. That's the Chives with Kyle. Bill said, we were just in the green room talking about how well in sync we were today. Oh, I love it. Hey, Bill, Tyler, Edub, CP, everyone in the comments, not only in this stream, but in our instant reaction stream during our Thursday night football stream. Thank you guys so much for being in the comments, for tuning in. We got into some pretty good numbers today streaming wise, so very thankful for all you guys tuning in. And again, hit that subscribe button on YouTube if you're tuning in there. We're trying to get to 500. We're about 156 away, so we would love to get to 500. At Star 6 Media on YouTube. Yeah, we would. Just like Kyle said. See, we're in sync already. We're always in sync.
We're back, baby.
What a great episode we had, Kyle. I loved every second of this episode. And if you guys enjoyed it, go follow us at Star 6 Media on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Twitch, and Facebook, and at _star6media. You can follow me on Twitter at and now Rick. Kyle, what about you?
You can follow me at FTBLONLYPODCAST. That's supposed to be football only podcast. Go ahead and follow me. I've been doing a lot better with posting. I'm starting to get more active as our channel continues to get traction. I mentioned the CMC injury news, all that kind of stuff. So you can count on me to be in your feed, telling you what you need in order to beat the team that's 0-3. So follow me.
Do we need to add a rap with Kyle now? And just like ask Bill down there in the comments. We're always messaging back, tweeting back. So don't be afraid to follow and just send us a quick tweet. Kyle, as always, dude, it's been a blast. Another great night of football. A full day of football coming up on Sunday, which we will be here for. So tune in. Kyle, always a pleasure, man.
Absolutely, brother. See you.
See ya.